Hi, sixth graders. This is Ms. Reynolds, and I want to talk with you tonight or today about dividing when you have a decimal in your divisor. So, before we do that, I want to remind you of how we multiply and divide numbers by 10. But right now, I specifically want to focus on multiplying numbers by 10. So, here I have the number 31, which is three tens and one one. Well, you guys have been taught, and correctly, that if I have a number and I want to multiply it by 10, here's 31, I just put a zero on the end like that, and it's 310. And that's correct. But sometimes you might forget, or teachers might not teach you, that the reason you get to do that is because our place value system is built on every place being 10 times greater than the place before it as we move to the left. So, for example, the tens are 10 times greater than the ones, and the hundreds are 10 times greater than the tens. Okay, so when we multiply a number by 10, what's actually happening is we're changing its place value. So we're going to make it 10 times greater by shifting each of those digits to a new place value. When we do that, we leave a blank space in the number. So here's my decimal point. The ones doesn't have anything in it, so I have to fill it with a digit. And the digit we fill it with is the 0, like that. That's why we put a 0 on the end when we multiply by 10, which is a rhyme. All right, so what if we want to multiply a number by 1,000? I'm sorry, 100. So let's say that I have my 3 here, and I'll put it over here in the ones place. If I want to multiply it by 100, I move it 2 times, because 10 times 10 is 100. So if I multiply it by 10 once, here we go, it is 10 times greater. But 10 times greater than 10 times is 100 times greater. So to multiply it by, and it's not letting me move it, to multiply it by 100, I move it 2 times. So instead of 3 ones, I don't know why it's being so picky. Instead of 3 ones, it's going to be, we started out with 3 ones. So I move it 2 times, tens, hundreds. Now it's 100 times greater, and we would have to fill those place values with zeros. Oops, that went a little too far. There we go. So it's now the number 300. Okay. So that's a just a reminder. So how does that work with decimals? I think you probably learned this in 5th grade, but in case you didn't, or in case you've forgotten, let's pick that 3 up and bring it back here into the tenths place. And I might even add that 1 back. So we have 31 hundredths. How do I multiply that by 10? The same way. I pick that number up and I shift its place value 1 place to the left. So now what I have is 3 and 1/10. So just like any other number, I'm multiplying by 10. I'm moving it to the left 1 place. Well, because we can't just pick up numbers and move them on our paper, we've learned that it's easier with decimals. And I'm going to go over here and make us a new text box. It's easier with decimals to move the decimal point than pick up the number. So, for example, we had point 31, and we wanted to multiply that by 10, so we can just move the decimal point like this. You start here, and if you move the decimal point to the right, it gives the illusion that you moved the number to the left. I get 3.1, just like this is 3.1. And if I want to multiply that by 10, what would I do? Well, I'd move that decimal again, and I would have 31. Okay? So that's going to help us when we start trying to divide by decimals. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this because that looks very confusing now. Okay. So let's go down and look at some of the problems I've written for us that have decimals in the divisors. So it would be really hard for us to think about 2.7 into a certain number. We could, of course, round that up and use 3, but then when we actually do the multiplication, we're going to have to multiply by 2.7 every time, right? And that's a little bit more awkward, maybe is a good word, than just multiplying by 27, isn't it? So I want to show you what mathematicians have done over the years to make 2.7 into 27. Well, you've probably already connected this. I could just multiply that 2.7 by 10. Now here I've written my division. Instead of with the division box, I've written it with the division bar so that you can see when I treat it like a fraction. Of course, what I do to the bottom, I would have to do to the top, right? Or what I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. Okay, so let's multiply each of these by 10. Well, we know we want to move the place value to the left, which means we can make it look that way by moving our decimal to the right. So now we have 27 as our divisor, right? Here's our division bar. And what do we have as our dividend? Well, I also have to multiply it by 10. So now my dividend is 831 and 5/10. So I multiplied both the dividend and the divisor, or if you're thinking of it looking like a fraction, I multiplied the numerator and the denominator both by 10, which I don't know what happened there, gives me an equivalent, which means same amount, right? The same amount division fact. Okay. So that's how you get rid of the decimal in a divisor. So I'm going to show it over here. I would just move this. Let me get my pencil back. We're just going to move that decimal over here. And now we treat this number like it is 27. And I don't know why it won't let me make a little circle. It's being very picky. Okay. Oh, and then I do the same thing in the dividend. And you may want to, when you do this on your own paper, if it's messy, probably not as messy as it is for me, then you can just rewrite your division problem. But when you move this, there we go. When you move that decimal point in your dividend, remember to bring it straight up. Okay. There we go. I'm getting the hang of it now. Okay. Maybe I can get one here. Yes. Okay. Or remember, you can just rewrite your problem. Okay, so what do we do down here? Well, I've written it like a fraction over here so you can see what's happening. This time, how would we get rid of the decimal. I want to make this number 32, so I don't have a decimal in it at all. Well, you can maybe think, how many place values are we moving it? Times 10 times 10. Well, what is 10 times 10? 100. So what we really did was we multiplied it by 100, right? And if we do that in the denominator, we have to do it in the numerator. Okay, so what's the problem with this? Why did I choose to show you this problem? Well, when I start to move my decimal one, there's not another place, right? What do? I have to create another place for it, okay? So I'm going to show you that. So the way I create another place is to put a placeholder in it, a 0. And now I can move it 2 places. Okay, so what is my new problem? My new problem, and I'm going to type it because that just seems to work a lot better. My new problem is 4, 7, 6, 2, 0. And then I have the decimal point. So what number is that? That is 47,620. And I'm dividing it by 32. Okay? We'll put the underline there to make it look like a fraction bar. And then on the bottom, we'll come over and put over 32. That's my new division problem. So again, over here, if I'm doing it with the division box, I know I want to get rid of that decimal. So I'm going to drag it 1, 2 times. Now, why do I make those little divot things? Because when you do that, it helps you to see how many times you are, how many place values you moved your decimal, okay? So that when you go to move the decimal again in the other number, you look back and you see, oh, I did it 2 times. There are 2 little divots there, so I do it 2 times here. 1, and oh, I've got to put my place value so I can move it 2. So you should always have the same number of little, whatever you want to call those. There we go, 2. And when I do that, remember, bring your decimal straight up, okay? All right, so we're not going to actually divide these on this video because you've been doing division. You know how to divide. So this was just to show you what to do to get rid of those decimals in the divisor.